So what was Mr. Silverstein trying to write? How did he make it say what he wanted it to? That's what we're here to find out.
There's no way around it. This story is mainly about the art of selfless giving. There's also potential for a demonstration of the progression of age and getting older, but there's no way around the main point. Now, this idea can be elaborated on in different ways. Most believe it's a story about love, but the kind of love differs in different opinions. The tree seems to be somewhat more than human. The love she expresses for the boy is greater than is possible from any human being. She never thinks twice about giving to the boy, and as long as she can provide, she was happy. The tree was different from any motherly love because, no matter what, until the very end, she could still provide for the boy, whereas a mother's ability to provide does have its limits, although her wish to be able to provide usually doesn't. In this emotion, the tree felt the same. And like every mother dreads that day when she cannot provide anymore, the tree was exactly the same also. This is demonstrated in the story when the boy cuts down the trunk for a boat. The text reads, "The tree was happy, but not really." Was the tree unhappy with the sacrifice she'd made? I don't believe so. She was fearful she could no longer provide for the boy. After this sacrifice, she thought she would be of no more use. We find later she was indeed wrong, and she was able to give one last thing to the boy, after which she was happy. There are those, however, that have a slightly more depressing view of things, and cannot see past the fact that the tree was a woman, and she dedicated her entirety to serving this man, or as she says, boy. While I'm sure it's of no coincidence that the tree is a female, I don't think it would be suitable to stop at that fact and look at the story. It's more about a motherly, beyond human love than it is about the aspects of civil rights and feminism. I'm not saying it's not about that at all, but it seems a waste to stop at that fact. Another question I pose to you. Would you classify this as a mutual relationship? The boy receives whatever he wants, and in turn the giving tree is happy. It depends on your standards. Some say that things cannot make you happy, and it does appear this way in the book. No matter what the tree gives him as an adult, the boy still comes across as sad, demanding, and in need of more. Is the tree's reward actually greater than the boy's? Even though she gave him everything she had, she was happy in doing so. She was happy, and the boy was not. She only hinted at not being happy once, and that was when she feared that she had nothing left for the boy. This seems to me a slightly one-sided relationship if judged by happiness, even though it may seem quite the opposite on first reading.
Now that we've established what the story is about, how did Mr. Silverstein convey these messages? He used various methods to make the story what it is in every aspect.
In the beginning, when the boy is still young and happy, this time can be classified as the highlight of the tree's life. When she had the boy, they both were happy, and the boy loved her. This section of the book is very slow, especially in the original text, where there are single sentences on each page. Most of the sentences begin with the word "and", too, as if to string them all together in one perfect, innocent lifestyle. The slower pace should leave the reader into the tree's mindset, where you can see what the tree's idea of happiness is. The words and sentences in this part of the story are very simple. It's possibly a reflection of life, of both the tree and the boy. Simple. Later in the story, as complications of their lives begin to unfold, there are more words on pages and more complex sentences. Also later, phrases such as the tree's request for the boy to play tend to become more repeated, almost creating a sense of urgency that the tree really wants the good old days when she was such a big part in the life of the boy. Once again, a trait portrayed by most mothers when their child grows up. Mr. Silverstein does a good job of putting events in stages, especially later in the story. As the boy gets to older stages of his life, he requests bigger things from the tree in all stages. First the apples, then the branches, then the trunk, until he uses the tree's stump, the base of all, rock bottom, showing the tree has nothing more to give, and the old man needs nothing more from her. Although not really part of the text, and however circular it may sound, there are lots of good points and images made in the pictures, illustrated by Shel Silverstein himself. I believe he used them just as much as the text to get his messages across. For example, look here at the leaves falling. Could they represent tears? Tears because the tree knows the boy is drifting farther away from her? More than likely. And here, when the boy cuts down the trunk of the tree, he cuts right between the two hearts. leaving the tree branded with an eternal reminder of what her life once was, while the boy took the other heart, portraying he and the girl he once wished to show affection for, and he left.
Finally, who reads this book? Who does it target? At first, people were reluctant to put this book into production. People felt it was too deep or depressing for children, but too simple for adults. It had no real place, no real audience. However, The Giving Tree turned out to be a very popular book, mostly for children, but still enjoyed by adults.
The Giving Tree is different for different audiences. It can be read by a child, and as a child they would get a good and useful story. Later in adulthood, the same person may remember that book and read it again. However, this time the adult could possibly relate to the story. The adult or teenager would become aware of their own generosity and how it was helping or hurting them as it did the tree. This is a rare story that could target any audience of any age.
Now, look at The Giving Tree. Do you see an animation teaching children to be nice and generous? I hope that's not all you see. Keep in mind, this is by no means the only way to interpret this book. In your opinion, it may not even be the right way. So what did you get out of it? How do you see the relationships of the characters? Please tell me. I'd love to know. Now, thank you for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed Uprooting the Giving Tree.
To be lonely, learn how to love life that is lived alone.